Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. In this video, I'll be reviewing an album called Superdank. It's by an artist named Lo5, who's an artist out of England, a gentleman named Neil Grant. And this is actually was released late last month in November. And on Castles in Space, their sub-label called Lunar Module. Shout out to them for supporting the CD format. It's cool that when I see labels still releasing CDs, I get excited. So shout out to them for still supporting physical music and definitely CDs as well. This is the first time I've got a chance to hear this artist. Neil personally sent me this. He also did the artwork for the album as well. And get a chance to listen to it and review it. I've never heard one of his albums before. This happens to be his 10th album, if I'm not mistaken. He's done 3 for Castles in Space in the past, and then this is the first one for his for the sub-label. Looks like he's been, from the research I did, looks like he's been doing music for 10 to 15 years, maybe longer, but as far as releasing the last 10 or so years. And really excited to kind of check out this album and hear him for the first time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to review each track and kind of give some of my thoughts of it. I won't necessarily give the score. I will give the score as we play the entire album. After I give my thoughts on the songs and the album, and if you'd like to, comment below, give your opinion on the music, see what you think. I'll put a lot of links down below if you like what you hear, you want to check out more from Neil Grant and his lo-fi project. He also runs a label called Emotion Wave out of the UK, so he runs that label as well. So there's links for that, also his Discogs page as well. So if you like what you hear, definitely support this artist and check out more from him. And let's get into the album. So overall, there's 15 tracks on this particular album. And the first one starts with the track named Ideas Person. And certainly has like an aquatic feel on this track. I really like the sort of ambient house feel. The beat's a little slow, but it's nothing like off-putting. I think it just happens to be a slower ambient house track, and that's a great thing if you're a DJ. If you want to, push it up like +2 or +4 and just give it a little bit more pace, you could do that. So it's that type of track that, if you want to enhance it a little bit with slowing it down or speeding it up, you can do that as a DJ. So that's always cool. But I really like the sound of this one, and it's a good opener for sure. Track 2, called Type 4, the Romantic. I really like the opening on this particular track, the sweeping synths, along with some like the kind of gentle beat. And I'm always such a sucker for the sort of kind of metallic feel, like in sort of a Balearic kind of ambient house feel or ambient music. Like when I hear these kind of like metallic feels, it gives me this like nautical feel or sort of ambient house feel. Like it almost sounds like they're metallic, almost like chains underwater. So it kind of gives you that sort of nautical feel of it just kind of, I wouldn't even say shimmering, but it's kind of like a metallic sound, sort of like, I wouldn't say like chains, but it has like a little bit of a metallic sound in it. And I always really like that because it kind of gives it like a nautical theme to the really kind of warmer synths and really relaxing feel of the track. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album. There's something kind of very romantic about it too, when it has that sort of nautical theme to it, and it's very dreamy. A very dreamy track again. It feels like I'm kind of like floating on a raft when I'm playing this track. It's really nice. It's unopposing, but it's background music. It's relaxing. It's just ambient house beautifulness. That's what I put. I just put ambient house beautifulness. Really nice stuff. I really like this track. It's one of my favorite on the album. And then it goes into track number 3 called Beef. I'm reading my notes here, so bear with me, because I wrote a lot of notes on this particular album. On track number 3, Beef, I like when little ideas or little memories, little tracks, they've kind of shorter tracks, maybe they're 1.5 to like 3 minutes, and they do a good job of sort of bridging songs together, like in a nice way, and it kind of helps with the overall flow and the theme of the album. Like when I hear tracks like this on a spaced out electronica or ambient album, it's I kind of compare it to like if you're out and you're sampling colognes, right? And you're smelling them, and then you smell coffee beans to sort of clear your nose palate, or your smelling senses, right? Or you're eating sushi and you're eating ginger to sort of cleanse your palate, so you can taste a different type of sushi. Like this has the same kind of feel for audio for listening. So you have this track number two, and it's sort of kind of dreamy, and then this track kind of comes in and it almost kind of like brushes the canvas clean, so you can start fresh on the next track. And I love those type of memories where it just kind of comes in and it's just like a thought or an idea of a song, and it's maybe not necessarily it, explored more so it becomes like a full song, but it's just like an idea or a memory. But in a strange way, I love how that bridges tracks together and gives the album a flow, and so it gives you kind of a still feeling like you don't know where the album is going, because that sort of breaks the mold, or maybe breaks it up a little bit to where the album can start fresh again. And sure enough, it does that on track 4. In a way, it's sort of like a commercial in the best way possible. Sometimes it's really hard to rate these type songs though, because they're kind of short and they're fairly one idea. But they're well polished. Sometimes those are hard to rate, and I didn't particularly rate this one in the overall. It's the only track in the full album of the 15 songs that I didn't necessarily rate individually. I do think it helps the overall flow of the album. And then comes track number 4, probably my favorite ambient house track on the album. Strong keys, definitely has the Balearic feel for sure. The secondary melody that comes in is really interesting. It almost has like a mirror reverb to it, or an echo off of like a mirror. Sometimes when I hear sounds, I think of what it sort of sounds like, or what it reflects off, if that makes sense, or what gives it the depth or the sort of sounds. Like, I guess the obvious would be that if I hit a chime, you would obviously think it's a chime, right? So sometimes I hear sounds and I think like, what does that sound like it's reverberating off of or echoing off? And this one sounds like it's echoing off some kind of like mirror surface or glass or something like that. In the best way. It's really cool, and I really like that sort of sound in it. It's really unique. I really like the last 30 seconds as the melody sort of evolves and really embellishes itself. Nice work there. Good stuff. Really like that track. Track number 6, called Story. I'm sorry, track number 5, Holotropic. This one has a really nice melancholy feel to it. Balearic feel again, for sure. Almost the guitar sounds. It's very dense, layered, and I guess kind of thick synth work in it. It's one of probably the most on the album. It's probably the most the deepest album in a strange way, because it's maybe not, I wouldn't say obvious like some of the other ones as far as like the mood, but there's something, I don't know, I wouldn't say there's something like ominous to it, but there's something like in there that you totally can't comprehend because you're listening to it, and it feels a little bit muted in some ways. It's very dense, and so it doesn't necessarily stick out with the obvious maybe mood that it's trying to purvey or present, but it's really cool. I really like that. It's one of my favorite tracks as well, track number 5. And then it comes to track number 6, which is really interesting. Probably the most techno sounding track on it. It gives me certainly vintage vibes. It sounds like especially the main riff sounds like early Orbital or 808 State. Like, I don't know if that's meant to be kind of a vintage techno sound, but it's very creative track and good stuff there as well. And then Useless comes in, track number 7. Reminds me of Jonas Monk. If anybody's heard Jonas Monk on this channel, he does work under Manual. And this sounds very Manual or City Center Offices label, if you know that label, or More Music. Stuff that I used to listen to a lot, like 2000 to 2005. It almost has like an IDM beat was about to come in. Like, I kind of got that feel. So it certainly reminded me of like 2000 to 2005 sort of ambient and glitchy kind of ambient stuff, but it didn't really fully come out to the beat of it. But another good track. It feels like a memory. Like this track feels like, and I love tracks that do that too because it just kind of makes you think. It's kind of reflective and makes you think about something in your past or something like that. It's just kind of brings back memories of stuff. And the great thing about when you think of that and then you play the album another time and it comes back reflective on its own self, and you think about that song just being a song that it's just kind of a deep thought, like emotional kind of thought track to kind of make you think about something in the past, and I always like those tracks. It's really cool. Track number 8 is called Milk Jam. It has kind of a glitchy, almost IDM feel to it. It reminds me of Christ, the album Christ. I don't know if anybody's heard the album, the artist Christ out there. I really a big fan of his stuff as well. But it has sort of a Scandinavian IDM feel to it, and I suppose that is because I would compare it to some of those IDM artists, again, like the 2000 to 2005 period that I used to play a lot. Maybe even Kettle from Sending Orbs. But I really like the ominous mood in here. It's a bit uncertain, and I always like that bit because, I love mystery in electronic music. I love some kind of unknown or direction. You're not sure if the track's darker, or you're sure if it's more melancholy, or you're sure if it's more beautiful or positive, right? There's like this kind of in between feeling that I always like in electronic music. That's emotional like this, and this kind of has an uncertainty in here, and a kind of a mystery, and I really like that about the track called Milk Jam number 8. We're pretty much halfway through the album at this point, just past halfway, and then we got track number 9 called Images on a Screen. This one's one of the more unique tracks on the album. I feel like the obvious, maybe just because of the vocal, but there's also a sort of Eastern feel in here. I'm not sure if the instrument in there is kind of a bowed instrument, if that's like a zither, or I'm not sure what instrument that is, but it's very kind of hollow sounding. It's just a really cool sound, unique for sure. This track, and a lot of the second half of the album, I feel like are growers. And when I say growers, takes multiple listens and start to kind of branch out or show themselves a little bit more and become a little bit more memorable as they go on. And I mean that in a good way, because sometimes there are tracks that obviously hit you right away, that, whether you like them or not. And some tracks, kind of grow on you a little bit. I call those growers. And there's quite a few tracks on here at the end that immediately don't hit you, but I can tell after a while, as well as the album, that it grows on you with more listens, and that's a good thing. And then track number 10 comes out. It's called Heavy Thaw, and I believe that's called Thaw. It's THA, and you're going to think I'm making this up, but one of my favorite Aphex Twin songs of all time is called Thaw, and it's on Selected Ambient Works number 1, and I just happen to have that out there, and then I'm like, oh, it was called Heavy Thaw, and I don't know if that's because it's related to this album, but it's strange that, THA, every time which often I don't see. I mean, when do you see that word, used? And so every time somebody would hear it, or somebody would read it, I would think of that album. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or if that's on purpose, but this particular track does kind of give me like I wouldn't say more Boards of Canada than the really Aphex Twin, but it sounds like a Eastern sounding Boards of Canada. And you guys have to excuse me for comparing these sounds to other people or these songs to other people. It's just to give people an idea of what it might sound like by me talking about it if they know those artists. So it's not meant as any disrespect. In fact, I'm comparing them to artists that I love. Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin. I mean, they're amazing. So it's a good thing. And then we have track number 11 called Boohoo. Good track there. Number 12, track called Fear Arising. I really like the way that the melodies work together here. Very memorable song. It reminds me a little bit of the track called Exit by Tangerine Dream, which is on the album called Exit by Tangerine Dream. It's just one of my favorite albums by Tangerine Dream, one of my favorite tracks by Tangerine Dream. This track reminds me of that. This song actually ties track number 2 for my favorite on the album. And I love the way the melody becomes a touch sinister. It kind of morphs a little bit. It's very cool. It reminds me of like Aphex Twin sort of does that, and the melodies become a little bit sinister. Very cool, very kind of demented feeling like in the melody, like when a uh, melancholy melody sort of alters and sort of twists, it becomes kind of sinister. It's really cool, almost like horror movie style. I mean that lightly, but it gives it kind of a twisted edge to it. It's very cool. Track 13, Gum Twitch, solid stuff. Snap back clap, track number 14. That's a mouthful. Snap back clap. Try to say that 3 times fast. Solid stuff there. And then it comes to the ending, the whisper to ah. Great way to end the album. It's like a goodbye sonnet. It's reflective. It's beautiful. It's simple. Ends the album really nicely. It also ties for one of my favorite songs on the album. So there's a three-way tie for my favorite song on the album. But a really nice, simple thing. I love outros. I love intros. I love interludes. I love small tracks like this, like little memories and ideas that really give the album a lot of charm and help the album flow. And I love those types of tracks. And I'm sort of not necessarily rating this as it is, but sort of rating it as a closer or rating it as an outro, as a closing track in a strange way. I wouldn't say the score that I gave it is what it is, but as a closer, as an ambient, outro, I think that the score reflects that, how strongly I feel about it. And it's really good. So I love the way the album ends. Really good stuff. Going into my overall thoughts on the album, when I saw the description of this album and somebody had added it to Discogs and they put it as ambient house and then ambient, that was the only really idea of what I had in mind when I saw it. And it's kind of strange when people, different people have different opinions of what the actual style is. But when I thought this was ambient house or ambient, sure, there's a couple ambient house tracks. Ambient. When I think of house music, it's more of a consistent beat, right? There might be only like 2 or 3 tracks in here with a consistent beat, period. So I don't know if I'd really say like this is an ambient house album. It's more of a down tempo album that has a little bit of ambient and a little bit of electronic in there. There was a time in the early 90s that I did not like the term electronica. I have to be honest with you. The press was using it a lot in the middle 90s. I remember it when around 96, 97, when, especially in the American press, they were really promoting Prodigy and Chemical Brothers and all these bands as like the next coming, the next electronica age, and sort of terming it electronica. And so I really despised the term, and it was probably because I really didn't like a lot of the artists that they were trying to explain. I'm not really a Chemical Brothers fan, although I've seen them live, and they're a good live band, but I don't necessarily like the music. It doesn't have a lot of depth for me personally. Not a big fan of Prodigy, to be honest with you. Maybe like a couple tracks, but I like their energy on stage and stuff like that, but not personally, again, deeper stuff. So a lot of stuff that they were calling the electronica stuff, I thought was really mislabeled, although I could see some of the down tempo called electronica and like this. And because if I said this was an electronic music album, I think it's a little bit more exact to say it's electronica, because when I think of electronica, I think of down tempo, I think of maybe a little ambient. But if I said just the down tempo, then maybe you would think it was like a little bit more urban, like maybe like more like Ninja Tune records or stuff like that. So, I feel like electronica is kind of like a balance of like down tempo and, wouldn't say more intelligent down tempo, but it has more of a ambient feel, and it's more of like an electronic album, if that makes sense. Not really electronic music, but it's an electronic album. So, I would think it's more of an electronic album, but everybody has different terms of it. But I think it's a really good album. It's the type of album that works for both forms of formats. Like if you're going to play it on CD and you play it through all, it's the type of album that you would really enjoy playing all the way through. It could be an album that would certainly be on vinyl, and I would love to DJ as well. There's a few tracks I would love to change the speed, alter the speed a little bit, and play those as ambient house tracks. I love to play down-tempo stuff and electronic music anyway, so it could be an album that could be on vinyl, and I would really enjoy it too. So it fits on both. I could see a DJ using it for like eclectic sets like I like to use, or a good listening album in one listen as a CD. So either way it works. But shout out to the label for supporting on physical music. There are I would say the only really critique I have on, or maybe question. I wouldn't even say questionable. Like maybe the only small critique that I have about the album is there's a couple times where a few of the sounds are a little loud. The voice in Images on the Screen, that track, the voice is a little loud. The snare in Living Room track is a little bit loud. It's a touch crunchy at times. The overall production has a little bit more of a digital sheen to it, if that makes sense. I'm a little bit, and this is just a preference thing, I'm a little bit more into modulars, a little bit more into the heavier analog side, but that's just a preference. That doesn't take away anything from this album, because I feel like the type of sort of digital sheen works better for this particular kind of melancholy depth and sort of electronica. So it meets more towards what the music mood is in this. I think if it was more analog in some ways, it might lose that sort of, I wouldn't say vaporwave or anything like that, but it has more of a sheen to it. And maybe I don't even know if it's a really nostalgic thing, but I think it works well for the type of moods and the tracks they are. But I do feel like if it was a little bit more analog, that would have a little bit more depth on the layers. Like there's some times in some tracks where I can't necessarily single out or focus in on the underneath or maybe sometimes the overneath, because the layering is done really well, and here everything's very catchy and layered very well, but sometimes it's a little muddy in the middle. I'm not sure if that's because it's a little bit more digital, or maybe it's the light mastering, but there's some times where it's also a little bit loud on a few parts of the songs. And that's my only really critique on the album. Everything else is really good. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of depth going on here, and it's not just because it's 15 songs. There's a good depth in the styles and the moods on here. A lot of different influences, I feel like. A lot of different creative chances taken in the album. A lot of melancholy, a lot of things to get lost in, a lot of things to be reflective. It's definitely an album that grows on you. And I think sometimes when I review first albums for the first time, any album can get better over 5, 10, 15, 20 years as you listen to it. And a lot of times that's why on my channel I've reviewed older stuff as I try to get more better of understanding when I do review newer albums, to sort of understand that it can be in the back of my mind, or an album can be a grower, like I said, or songs can get better with more listens and stuff. That's natural. So that's always a crux of reviewing stuff the first time and scoring it like it's some kind of like stamp on it, or this is my exact review. Like things can change over the time, right? So I'd be curious to know what you think. Let's get a chance to play it, and you're welcome to score along if you'd like. This is album called Superdank, and it's by Lo-5, and it just came out a couple weeks ago on Lunar Module Records, which is a sub-label of Castles in Space. If you'd like to support it, check the links down below, and I really appreciate your time. Neil Grant for sending this. I really appreciate it, and really good stuff. Keep up the good work, and if there's anything I can help you with, just give me a shout out. All right, thanks so much.
and I'm also going to play some music. But first, I'm going to be doing a story first. Do you want to hear it? Okay. Hi, I'm Sophie. Can I tell you about my story? Well, it all started on a normal week on a Sunday. It was terrible weather. It was pouring down rain. The rain felt like someone was crying or hungry. After 1 hour of raining, there was a puddle in front of me. I stopped. I shouted, "Oh, not puddles."
Images on a screen. While the action is taking place, we all forget, temporarily, that we are merely watching a display of colored lights. We take the figures to be real and become engrossed in the little dramas of their everyday lives. Occasionally, we become aware that we are watching, that the pictures are not real, that they are just images on a screen. When this happens, we subconsciously differentiate between what is real and what is unreal. The man watching in his chair assumes, I, the observer of this film, am real. The pictures on the screen, they are not real. Now step back one stage further. Here is a new film. The original observer and the film he was watching are both now displayed on the same screen. The observer, who formerly thought himself to be real, is now just as unreal as the film he was watching. Now what is real about this picture? What here is permanent? What remains unchanged while all these pictures come and go? It is the screen. Your own self, your own reality, is the screen upon which all the unreal pictures of the world are displayed. All the pictures on the screen, including the form and the person you take yourself to be, are supported by the screen of your own self. When you recognize yourself to be the substratum, the screen, and not the name and form which appear upon it, you are free. Fire in the movie, it will not burn the screen. If there is water, the screen will not get wet. When you discover who you really are, when you discover that you are the screen of consciousness and not the images that appear upon it, you are untouchable, indestructible, you are free. Images on a screen. While the action is taking place, we all forget, temporarily, that we are merely watching a display of colored lights. We take the figures to be real and become engrossed in the little dramas of their everyday lives. Occasionally, we become aware that we are watching, that the pictures are not real, that they are just images on a screen. When this happens, we subconsciously differentiate between what is real and what is